Hey, this is a bit unusual. I'm making an introduction to today's video because this is a bit special. I recorded this on March 9th, 2025, a few months back, and it was about the US. Now, when I recorded this, I knew intuitively that I shouldn't post it right away. I don't know why. Don't ask me that because I don't know. Um, but I just recorded it and put it away. And right now I don't have any date in mind, but I know that I need to post it before the end of 2025. So I have a few days left, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it right away. I try to listen to it again. Now, to be honest, I don't really like re-listening to the intuitive message I post because those are not scripted, and I just start talking about a subject. Usually I'm late because I start talking before I can grab my microphone. But this one, yeah, I just started listening. I started listening again to the beginning, I believe, and then I just decided I'm just gonna post it away. So you are going to hear it exactly the way I recorded it last March. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know, and I just made the screen caption of the Memo Voice app on iPad, so you know when it was recorded. I didn't change anything; it exactly the way it was. Okay, see you then. Bye. Hello everyone, Aja from Inara Talks. I hope you're doing okay. Sorry in advance for the few noises you may hear or not. I have my window open, so you might hear some cars and stuff like that. I was compelled to take my microphone today because I wanted to talk about the situation in the US with the new president and every single laws that coming up. And I just don't want to talk about, in the political. Um, okay, let me rephrase that. I don't want to talk about what's happening politically, but I just want to talk about it spiritually when it comes to my intuition, because I take the microphone only when I have insights coming up. You can call it psychic or whatever. I feel like everyone is psychic, but I digress. Okay. So what I felt today is like, unfortunately for um, Americans, and I do love you, Americans. Like I love every single people on this planet. We are all part of the same divine consciousness. And if you watch any of my videos, you know that's something I truly believe in. We are in a time right now that is very important. It started in 2020, but it's been accelerating since 2020. But since last year, there's a lot of things coming out of the wood. And you need to understand that we have entered a very short timeline where there's going to be I don't know how to say this. There's going to be uh, an outburst. Okay, just don't listen to it with fear. Just see if it resonates with you and just open your mind. Okay, there's nothing to fear here. I'm not a doomsday person. I'm a very positive person. So I'm just gonna say, like when you hurt yourself and you say, "Oh, I'm just gonna walk it off." I don't pay attention to it. It's gonna heal on its own, and it gets infected. And you don't do anything until it's almost too late, and you go to a hospital. The measure they're going to take to heal you or to help you are going to be way more hurtful, way more drastic than if you had taken care of it right away. So this is the situation we are in right now. This is, and it's not specific to the US. I'm gonna go back to the US in a minute, but I just feel like I needed to say this first. This is a global situation. This is for the whole humanity. This is for the whole planet. We are in a space where to heal and move on to that new timeline. And by the way, it's not just humanity, it's the whole earth. Whether you believe the earth is flat or round, it doesn't matter to me. The whole earth is moving on to that new timeline, and the humanity is also moving on to that new timeline. But to do so, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of baggage we need to deal with. You know, there's a lot of things we cannot bring with us. So those things needs to be dealt with. And when I say dealt with, I mean it may be situation happening. Situation happening. It also people doing things they're not supposed to be doing to other people, and this healing is not going to be smooth. Um, I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of too much chaos, but you can expect some chaos, meaning some disruption. Personally, what I've noticed, and I think people who just, I was born in the 80s, so if you are a millennial, for example, you just, and you used to listen in the 90s to music, R&B, hip hop, pop, and stuff like that. There's a lot of scandals coming up. There's some that are popped up, but there's a lot of names that we didn't hear yet. So, and I believe that there's a lot of people that I just admire that I just kind of turn out to be worse individuals. I don't know. Well, okay, so what I feel like is the US right now with that election is not by coincidence. I'm not gonna talk politics because I'm not a US citizen, so I don't know. I watch a lot of things from the US, so obviously I'm informed, but I don't live in your country if you're American, so I don't feel like I can speak for what's going on in the political side. The same way you cannot, easily tell me things about the French political situation. We have our own issues here, but that's another story for another day. What I felt intuitively is that the US is being the case example for the whole world. If you notice those last, let's say 5, maybe 10 years, there's been a slow rise of the far right movements all over the globe. Okay, people feel more free to express some, ideas that may be racist, that may be supremacist, whatever it is. And I believe the US is, I'm not going to say chosen, but yeah, maybe, but that's the country that is going to be the case example for the whole planet. What happens when you choose hate, when you choose division, when you choose exclusion, when you choose anything else than love, than sharing, than community. And some people are going to say, oh, you were advocating for communism or socialism. I don't care about political views or whatever. I'm talking about working for people, for humanity. You need to understand that we, as the vibration of the planet and humans is rising, there's a lot of things that cannot be sustained anymore, and those things has to come to light so we can deal with it and say we can heal it. If it can be healed, because some people are not going to change their mind. Whatever happens, they're going to stay with the exact same point of view, and that's okay. So each soul choose their destiny, but then again, those people cannot move on to the new timeline if they have a mindset and ideas that are contrary to that new energy. When I'm talking about new timeline, I'm just talking about vibration. It's like a channel. If you don't have the exact frequency, you cannot be on that channel. You know, I cannot watch your program because you are not on the same vibration. That's all I'm saying. So the US are this case example, um, because unfortunately human history um, has shown that we have short memories and that we tend to learn things the hard way. We tend to be confronted with difficulty and hurt before we have that aha moment, you know. Not everyone, but most of us. And as the vibration, people awaken and as the vibration rise, for most of us, it's not going to be needed. That, hard wake up, it's not going to be needed. But so for some other people, it's going to be needed before they understand. Um, and it was very, heartbreaking for me when I watch some content where people, they call it the FAFO movement. I guess that means fuck around, find out. So, where people who supported Donald Trump are just realizing what their votes implied for them. Because I guess they didn't think he was going to touch them. I'm talking about someone who is completely external to this, so I'm just telling you what I saw. So you need to understand that this time is going to be tough for a lot of people. The only way it's not going to be tough for you is if you keep yourself in a high vibration. And a lot of people talk about high vibration, but they don't really explain what that means. And I'm just going to give you my explanation. You do whatever works for you. I'm not telling you to believe in anything I say. I'm just giving you my perspective, okay? Which is can be completely different from yours. High vibration to me is staying in a state when you feel good, when there's not this um, churning in your gut, when you're not frowning, when something um, doesn't feel wrong. This is not high vibration. Any emotion that puts you in a state of dis-ease is low vibration. So high vibration is, you know, getting around people that makes you feel good. If you like going into nature, maybe doing that more. If you like crafting, doing more of that. You know, consuming content that is going to uplift you. I love guided meditation, for example. So I go to sleep most nights with guided meditation, for example. Um, you know, keeping your mindset as high as possible. And this is where you're going to stay in a frequency. I talked about channel before, in a frequency where a lot of those tough things that I feel are coming are going to miss you. And I don't want them to hit anyone, but some people are going to attract those tough things to them. And in order to avoid this, it's nothing external, it's how you set your mindset and how you set your vibration. Um, like I said, we as humanity, as a group, some people want to divide us, and depending on different criterias, can be skin colors, hair colors. I don't know. Just there's so many reasons for people, religions or whatever. Humanity as a whole has a short memory, because when there's struggle, when there's economic crisis, when there's difficulties, it's been proven that most population are going to go to the extreme, which is far right or far left, right? Far left is more communism, socialism. I don't know why some people in the US are so afraid of this, but that's something I heard as well. But There's also far right, which is more supremacy, exclusion of certain group of people. You know, there's a lot of ideology around the far right that is, the strongest must survive and stuff like that. Okay, so we, as a population, as a group of people, when time gets tough, we tend to go to the far right. Okay, and we have example in our history. World War II was one of those example. There were a lot of examples in history where people go to the far right. Even in France, we have that same tendency, going to the far right. We had an election, I believe it was last year, where the far right movement is getting closer and closer. So most people don't know what's going to happen to the next presidential election, if we even get there. When I'm saying this is something I was intuitively compelled to say. And I'm not sure if I should double down on this. No, I won't. Um, Humanity as a whole is getting somewhere that can be very tough, and we have that tendency to go to the far right. And I believe um, the plan for this moving to that new timeline is to reveal everything that is ugly, that was hidden under the rug, not dealt with. So you have all those sex trafficking, all those um, famous people, getting caught up with um, ugly stuff. And there's a lot of things we haven't seen yet that are coming. You know, um, and the banking system. There's a lot of things that are not talked about that are going to come out. Natural phenomenon that are increasing as well. There's a lot of things that are coming up, and we need to be ready for this. This is not a time to fear. Okay. Um, some people are going to fear anyway, but this is not a time to fear. This is just a time to be realistic and face what we haven't dealt with. We haven't dealt with racism. We haven't dealt with, hate. We haven't dealt with selfishness. We haven't dealt with, um, you know, um, looking at people from high horses. Whatever it is, there's a lot of things. Inequality, we haven't dealt with it. We are okay as a collective with people dying of hunger, while on the other side of the planet we're throwing food away. We are okay with people dying at the hospital because they don't have the system that we created, which is money. We are okay with people poisoning our food and sell it this back to us, um, just for us to get sick and needing some drugs that are also sold back to us. We are okay with so many things that are just against our best interest. So all those things needs to come out, and we need to deal with it. And unless we do, the next timeline, the next frequency where things are better cannot come. And our job, for people who are awakened, is to hold that vibration, hold that light amidst the chaos, and hold it and say, I trust that this is going to be better. And I trust that this is okay. And I know that the process is necessary. The same way that when I'm hurt and I don't deal with it right now and then get affected, I know I need to get it treated. Okay. So I'm just going to ask for painkillers or whatever, but I know it needs to be dealt with. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse and worse. Okay. So if you live in the US, please hold that vibration, whatever you are, because when when people go to the far right, They need scapegoats because the ideology is so ugly. So, as a human being, you cannot convince me that people, are born evil. No, they choose to become evil because this is the script they chose for their life. They're here to experiment something. I don't know. Um, some people are here to experiment it being the most hated person in the room. I don't know. Maybe that's a goal for some people. I don't know. But you need to understand that when we people go to the far right, so they know deep inside, if they look at themselves in the mirror, they know this is a ugly ideology to follow. They know it, but it just grasping as things like, oh, this is going to be good for me. Oh, he's going to bring this. This is going to be better. They just convince themselves that there's something in it that is, for the great good, you know. And when you go to that kind of ideology and you're doing something that is not, and you try, that's not good, and you're trying to convince yourself, you need an scapegoat, and you need someone to point at and to put the blame on. And historically, those are, immigrants, minorities, people who are different, you know, people the media point at as well. You know, anything that is not like you is going to be pointing at, you know. so so yeah, those are the way those people can justify until the day that they cannot justify it anymore, and they look at what they didn't want to look before, and and they say, okay, now I get it. I get why people are hating me. So what now? You know? And I'm not talking about the people who just regret now because finally something is happening to them and they realize they're losing. This is, fake realization because you're only saying, oh, I regret what I did just because it's happening to you now, This is not the real realization. I mean, the real realization is when people are going to realize what they've done to the collective, what they've done to people who did nothing to them, who did nothing wrong to them, who just, they didn't even know those people and they just hurt them for no good reason, So, yeah, um, intuitively, I'm sorry for American people, but you're not the only one. It's a global thing. But I feel like you are the case study for the whole planet, who are looking and are going to understand what's going on when you choose exclusion, when you choose hate, when you choose anything else than love. What happens? And I'm laughing because I want you to stay in that vibration, not because I'm laughing to people suffering. I'm wholehearted with you and I send you all my love, and and you can choose for those tough times to miss you. You know how to do that. I explained it before. High vibration and love. There's no other way. The moment you hate, the moment you exclude, the moment you, and I'm not saying you need, when I say choose love, doesn't mean that you need to invite uh people in your home. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying choose love, even if you don't get close. Get compassion in your heart. Get empathy in your in the way you see things. Try to put yourself in people's shoes. There's something happened to me today, and I know it's gonna be controversial, and I'm gonna end on this because this video is already a bit long. I was looking at a video today about Didi, and they were explaining that uh, theory that some inmates, uh, leaked that he was going to um, the medical part of the prison where he is, and having a lot of appointments, and there was a rumor that he has HIV, you know. And he was describing the way Diddy started off as someone who just command the space, you know, that swag when you, even when he was cuffed and stuff like that, you know, looking people in the eye and stuff, like he was in real life, from the pictures and videos I've seen of him. And he went from that to being, to losing a lot of weight, being, uh, not looking at everyone, looking at, you know, the ground, being alone, being, you know, like empty. And I felt really compassion in my heart. I know what he did. We're supposed to say allegedly because it's not in trial, but there's so many things out there. Even for me, not in the U.S., I just don't know how he can get out of this. But I'm thinking about his victims and, alleged victims. I'm gonna add that so nobody comes for me. But I'm thinking about all those people, the people would know and the people would never know, you know, all those people. But I also have compassion for the guy, you know, because you would not, like I said before, nobody's born evil. You turn evil. People help you become evil, and you choose to become evil as well, you know, at one point. Whether it's your original script, you came here to learn something and you choose a path to learn that or to experiment that, or you change your mind along the way and you try to learn something else. I don't know. But in any case, whether I want it or not, whether you want it or not, it is part of the divine consciousness, you know, it's part of that divine consciousness. And this is the worst that we can be, you know, probably not the worst. It's pretty close, but from what I hear, but yeah, this is a mirror of what we can produce as a collective when we choose anything else than love. This is a mirror. Epstein, did any monster, label monster that you see, and more are coming out of the wood, in the next month, weeks even. In my mind, weeks came, before months, but I don't know why I said it in that order. Those are mirrors. They're mirroring us, you know. What's the worst you can do? Anyone with the right circumstances and the right choices can turn into Diddy. And this is very hard. Even when I'm saying this, I'm like, why are you saying this? I can never. And I'm like, okay. So keep in mind, compassion doesn't mean you have to condone what people are doing. I strongly disagree with what he's been doing. I strongly disagree with a lot of things, and I've heard about Diddy for a while. You know, just I'm French, but I'm black. You know, so Diddy wasn't a surprise to me. You know, the amount of things he did behind the doors, yeah, that was a surprise. You know, the baby oil stuff, but the the fact that he was, you know, doing something wrong and it was weird, yeah, uh, I heard about that for a while. So we need to hold that light, okay? Hold that light, and keep going with your project, with your purpose, with, something you feel compelled to do to help others. The only way you're going to know this is the right way to go is if you feel that you can help someone else. If it's just for you, nah, go for it, but probably not your purpose. Your purpose is going to be something that you feel like it can help other people. You want to help other people. You want to make a difference. You feel in your heart that you can do some good. Okay, that's probably your purpose. So keep making projects. Keep making plans for the future. I do not stop for myself. I just keep imagining my future life. What's gonna happen. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully, that was useful to you. If you have any comments, let me know. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna stop right there. I think I've said everything I was supposed to say today. Yep. Okay. Just checked. Thank you for listening and see you next time. Bye bye.